to join you from State College. We've been on a little bit of a circuit here, visiting folks, locally, then over in New Jersey, then back in Pittsburgh, and now we're making the loop back towards Philadelphia. So I'm joining you from Lancaster, Pennsylvania here today, and it was funny yesterday. I did that, and unseen to you folks, off to my left, there was this couple having a nice Zen moment. Off to my right, we got that chainsaw going, and I thought, there's life, right? So hopefully your life is a little more calm this morning as we continue on. And today we're looking at a really significant concept, a really, really significant concept. And it starts with this, that there's plenty of places in the Bible where God appears angry. And that's the key word there, is appear. It's an appearance of God's anger, God's wrath, and talk about it many times. That is merely an appearance, and so important to start from that place. And today we're going to take a look at that today and then bump it into a bigger picture. So let's go ahead and get started. We're at Genesis 6, verse 6, and this is where God's kind of like, yep, this just ain't working. This isn't working. And Jehovah God was sorry that he had made humanity on the earth, and he grieved to himself at heart. So this is sort of setting up for the flood. And it's interesting, that line, Jehovah God was sorry that he had made humanity. Now we can look at that and almost read that as regret, like God regretted what he had made. Like, what was I thinking? And granted, we've probably all had moments like that where we've done something or created something, thought, what was I thinking? But this is a different connotation to it. This is a connotation where God says, was sorry, that it's really about mercy. It's like about this, I'm so sorry they have to go through this. Very different view of sorry. And in our particular denomination, we really believe that we have to flip away from any idea of God being angry, vengeful, out to take punishments, keeping score, any of that. That God is just absolute pure mercy. So when we read things like this, it can read one way. We're really asked to spin it into a different way, so we can really see it see God's humanity within it, and that humanity being like, I'm sorry you have to go through this. And that's life, right? I mean, how many times, probably some of you are living with this right now, how many times in life do we have things where we just end up being sorry that people have to go through stuff, and sorry when we have to go through stuff. I think that's very much part of the human condition all the time. And so a lot of it is trying to sort of bump out to the big picture. How do we keep on bumping out to the big picture? Understanding faith in a different way. That faith is not about this idea that somehow we're going to, by some magical thinking, avoid all these challenges in life. That would sure be nice, but I have absolutely not found that to be true at all. And instead, faith is much more about knowing that there's a bigger holding, that there's a bigger pattern. And for those of you with kids, or for younger ones who you have some sort of affection for, I'm sure we all understand that, right? When we watch our kids or our loved ones go through a hard time, there really is this grieving of heart, this real sadness of it. And a lot of the time, not with everything, but with a lot of things, there's also this realization of yeah, I'm sorry you have to go through this. And this very quiet, very subtle knowledge that it's all part of the big picture, and that somehow God has this, and that we will grow through this. They will grow through this. We will grow through this. That we're all on this journey of learning together. I love what the Franciscan Richard Rohr had to say about that. So I wanted to read that to you this morning because I just thought it was beautiful. Faith, as we see in the Hebrew scriptures and Jesus' uses of them, is much closer to our word trust or confidence than it is about believing certain doctrines to be true. Simply believing doctrines demands almost no ego surrender or real change of the small self. And the small self there, that's the part of us that's angry, vengeful, part of us that's no good. And simply believing the right things isn't necessarily going to change that. Holding confidence that God is good, God can be trusted, and God is actively involved in my life is a much more powerful and effective practice. This is the practical power of biblical faith. Faith-filled people are, quite simply, usable for larger purposes because they live in and listen to a much larger self within a much larger picture. That, I think, is just a beautiful statement of faith, right? Because these things are going to happen. And of course, there's going to be grieving of heart. Grieving of heart when we're watching someone going through it. Grieving of heart when we're going through it. And there needs to be some breathing and some breath around, like, yeah, and there's a bigger picture here. And there's something that maybe I can see that's a little bit larger than maybe I could have ever imagined. And that's what we're really trying to get to, folks, trying to get to that bigger picture. So my thought for you today is to just really focus on that larger self, that larger picture that can give itself to larger purposes. And I can only, probably a lot of you are much better at than I can only briefly touch that moment before instantly my agenda kicks in, my worries kick in, my anxiety kicks in. But when I read that stuff, I know it to be true. And I know that, of course, God is in this whole picture. Of course, God brings this mercy and this holding of this whole thing, this whole journey, even the really hard parts. And that's such a different view of faith. Again, it's a faith that's not about avoiding challenges, but it's a faith going about and going through those challenges in a much, much, much healthier way, which I certainly need. I imagine a lot of us need that as well. So today, may you find those larger purposes and that larger true self that is alive in God. So that's the thought for today, folks. So what we're going to do now we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll take a look at any comments that are out there on social media. Hopefully we'll be able to read them. We've been trying some different tech things here today to increase our portability, and so thank you to Marcus for that, and thank you folks for being so gracious as we keep trying those different things. So with that, friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift his countenance up upon you and bring you peace and bring you home. Amen. All right, friends. Well, thank you for joining. Let's see if we can do some comments here today. Let's see if this works the way we hope. Oh, let's see. We may have been able to do it. Let's see. All right, let's see the comments here. I can see a number of them. I can't see them all, so my apologies for that, but I'll read the ones I can see. Good morning. Could not get through life without faith. And Gene, isn't it kind of interesting like that? I just think a lot about, holy cow, if I just was left to my own devices and just trying to figure it out for myself, I'd be in real trouble. And there is just something very grace-filled about like knowing that we can just get to a point where we just let it go. Just that simple. Betty, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Vilma joining us from the Philippines. Vilma, great to have you joining us this morning. Paige, great to see you joining us as well. Now, let me see if I can get more comments up here. I cannot. Isn't that weird? So I need to figure out how to be able to see more comments, but I will be commenting to the rest of you folks as well. Again, we're moving through a few little things here, trying to get it figured out. But just, wishing you folks all the best. There one popped up from Mary. Good morning. Faith gets wrapped with doubt sometimes. The bigger picture can be scary. It is, right? And I've been thinking, I think a lot about peace, because I just, these times are so anxiety producing. And for me personally, and just how... Yeah, Mary, how do we keep coming back to peace? Something I think a lot about. All right, dear friends. Well, great to have you joining me this morning, and certainly wish